So, with Thanksgiving coming up, I know last week we talked more about the holidays and some holiday ideas, what to do. And so, with going into Thanksgiving, how many of you are a little bit sort of nervous about Thanksgiving?
I'm definitely nervous because I'm now a part of, I have a baby, including my significant other's family and my family, and we have to drive all the way to Tennessee for a 12-hour trip with a kid, and then have 4 or 5 separate Thanksgiving. So it's going to be chaos.
Oh, you have 4 to 5 separate Thanksgivings?
Yeah.
Wow. 4 to 5 separate Thanksgivings. That and is this all in one day?
Yes, this is all in one day.
Oh. Well, now that is something that I've had 2 in one day, but not 4 to 5. So now your child, what age is is it a daughter or son?
It's a daughter. She'll be a year old on Thanksgiving.
Oh, and a birthday party.
Birthday too.
Okay. And so how long have you been on the program?
I've been on it for at least a month, I think.
Okay. So, what kind of progress? I mean, what's happened with you in a month?
Well, when I started, I had no energy. I barely could get out of bed. Taking care of my daughter was a struggle as is, but now I have a lot of energy. My daughter has been sick for the past 3 days, and I've been running on 4 hours of sleep, but I've managed it. So that's been good, where before I couldn't have done that at all. I would have just slept on the floor and let her play with whatever. And I've lost about 11 pounds now so far.
Wow. Congratulations.
So it's been pretty nice because now I'm able to see what things I need to change, because I have the energy and realize I actually have the time to do it, where before I just didn't care and I was tired all the time and I didn't want to do anything.
Okay, so it's really neat because you've been able to have some of the non-skill victories. And so, Hannah, you've been coaching Heather.
Yes, we actually had a great conversation today just about her shifting mentally and where she's growing, and it's been awesome just being able to hold her hand through this journey, just to see her change from the beginning.
And 11 pounds in 1 month, she said.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So we were talking about going into Thanksgiving and being scared, and she sort of raised her hand about being scared. So how many, and then of course I think Joe raised her hand. And what about Brian and Amy? It's good to have you both on tonight. So hey, Brian and Amy, like I said, they said Thanksgiving and Christmas is nothing. I think that's what you guys said last week. So, so what kind of tips can we give Heather? What can we share with Heather for her to, because I mean, she said she had 4 to 5 separate Thanksgiving places she had to go to on Thanksgiving Day. I said, I've only had 2, so I can't even imagine the 4 to 5. I'd say by the time the last 2 or 3 she has, she'll be like, I'm so sick of food. But
yeah, I'll just want to be like, nope, I'm done. You can send the food home with me. But other than that, I'm kind of calling it quits.
Well, that's one thing you can say by the time you get to the second house, that you already ate at the first house. And then maybe by that time it would be time for a meal replacement or something. I can't imagine eating at all 4 places.
Yeah, I don't think we still never did that before, but it's just my parents are divorced and his parents are divorced, and then we have addition family to that with step siblings and everything, so it's just everywhere. And we are lucky that we usually make 4, but we have 5 because when we get back we have another one.
Okay. So what kind of suggestions would any of you have for Heather?
Well, like we talked about last week, you said try and come up with a plan of what you want to create for yourself. So if you want to stay in fat burn, then you would stick to your normal treat Thanksgiving Thursday like any other day of the week. Or if you are okay with not losing as much for the week, then I don't want to say go off the plan, but maybe you could have a bite of something that you normally wouldn't.
Okay. And Katie, with that, what would she do if she's going to basically eat a Thanksgiving dinner with someone? What should she start out with that first meal in the morning? I mean, should she?
Eat your meal replacements like you normally would, starting from when you get up to the time that you have your Thanksgiving dinner. Keep everything as consistent as you can.
Okay. Yeah, I'm planning on like packing them with me when we go on the. Well, we're not driving. We're actually we're flying out. We're driving on Christmas, but I'm planning on packing them and bringing them with me.
Okay, that's great. That's great with planning ahead. I know Hannah's probably give you some really good ideas and things to plan ahead for that. So that way, whenever it's great to have a plan, because how many of you have went into a situation and you get paralyzed a little bit? You're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah. And it's like, if you've not planned ahead, if you've not, like I had a girl this past week, she was on the plan and she was going to her mother's on the weekend. She got to her mother's, but rather than her taking the on-the-go meal, she took the Zeta marinara. She took the things you had to cook in the microwave, and guess what happened? She didn't want that. And so she found herself snacking on some of the finger foods her mother had prepared. So I mean, don't you think that's what it's like if we're out, it's better to take the portable stuff where you could just grab and go and you don't have to think.
Yeah.
And that way it's like, so because it's really more of the most important thing is thinking about it's time to fuel. It's time to fuel. It's 3 hours. It's time to fuel. And as long as you keep that going, you won't really dive in and eat things that you shouldn't eat. I mean, unless you're just starving and you forgot a meal or something. So, so does that help a little bit?
Yeah, that definitely helps. I mean, I'm planning on trying to keep on track and everything. I might have if I have anything, I usually share it with my daughter. And if it's not something I want my daughter to have, then it's not something I'm going to eat.
Okay.
I definitely try to always make sure that she eats healthy, because her grandma loves to overfeed her when she babysits her. So we always try to reestablish when she's home to eat something healthy and not snacks all the time. So that always keeps me on track, because if I'm going to have her eat healthy, then I need to be doing the same thing.
That's right. That's right. It's been, being a great example. Now, what's some other roadblocks that could be whenever you're with family? What's some things that can cause you to maybe waver from your program?
Probably schedule. When you get to see everybody, you get lost in time and you're getting to see all your family. Since I'm in Virginia and my family's in Tennessee, when I go there, I want to make sure that I stay on track. So keep a timer on my phone or something so I know when to fuel, because if I don't, I'm going to get lost in family chaos of do this and do that and help prep this and take care of hold Alice, my daughter, and all this other stuff. Recently, she's been sick, and that was already really bad as is. So I've kind of slacked on drinking as much water as I should, but I'm picking it back up because I noticed it, because I was just constantly holding her all the time that I would forget it. So definitely timers are going to be a thing for me to help prevent that.
That's good. So Deborah, did you have something?
Yeah, I have a question, because I thought about in my younger days, we used to do progressive dinners where we go to 7 different homes and you eat one thing at one home, you go to another home, and this all happened in one night. So it was very interesting. So what I'm wondering is, Heather, are you going to be going to one home and then maybe in 3 hours be at another home and then maybe in 3 hours at another home?
Yes, that's actually what we're going to be doing, because we're starting off in telehome in Tennessee, and then we're slowly moving back towards my mom's house.
Okay.
And then last Thanksgiving isn't going to be till like the weekend, so that can be like a lean and green one. So that one I'm not worried about.
Well, that, you know what, in a way, you could do the progressive mentality. You're going to set your alarm so you know it's time for my meal replacement. And yet I got to have a lean and green by the end before I go to bed. So you've got, 6 ounces of turkey that you could split times three times. You have a whole cup and a half of vegetables that you could split 3 times. So say you were at the first place and you had maybe a quarter cup of a vegetable, something that really looked good that you wanted to eat, and a little piece of meat, and maybe another small piece of vegetable, so that every home you went to, you did something like that nobody needs to know I'm getting my lean and green. You're the only one that knows, because you're going to eat your meal replacement too. You're going to have that and then add your little bit to your meal, so that by the end of the day, and that doesn't mean you can't have a little taste of a pie if you really needed that. So you have a forkful if you want it. But I think if you were to just add, because when I first started and I had to go to like a restaurant, and I remember Lisa saying, well, just have a small side salad, but then have your bar as well. And that worked out really well, because then at nighttime, I didn't have to have my lean and green. But if I had to do what you're doing, I would be thinking, no way. But now that I've done this, that I think each time you go, hey, you're right on plan. Nobody has to know what you're doing. And that way, every household isn't going to be offended or ask you, why aren't you eating this? And you just have to say, you know what, I'm really, enjoying a little bit right now. For me is a lot, because I want to savor the food and just enjoy, really taste the goodness out of the food that you prepared. I really don't need a lot, just, things like that. But it's just a thought.
That's actually a really good idea, and I think I'll probably implement that, because usually it's just, it's too much by the end of the day, and we're both like, me and my husband are passed out on the couch, and we're like, nope, we're done. We're not moving. We'll see you tomorrow.
It happens that used to happen to all of us, right? And we all can,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the nice thing about Take Shape for Life too, is learning these different ways of eating that I just never knew existed. I thought you had a binge and that's it. I'm so full and you can't move. But if I had to go somewhere else and do that, that's silly, when, so enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's the key, is being able to enjoy and fellowship with your family. Now, how many of you have been a little scared to go to a family event like Thanksgiving or Christmas, because you're trying really hard to maintain what you're doing, and it's almost scary?
I had a baby shower this past weekend that was like that, and there really was, I think I had some carrots and celery, and outside of that, there really wasn't much there that, cheese and crackers and things that, that I just didn't want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really challenging. I found when I left there, I kind of realized I had almost been holding my breath the whole time I was there. Because when I finally got to my car, I thought,
So did you have the feeling, and I'm just speaking because, like I said, I've experienced all this. When you went to something like that, you think ahead, and basically they're not going to have any of the foods that is really, even if you did eat a little extra something, basically it's cupcakes or like you said, cheeses or nuts or what punch and those kind of things. So have you ever just went through the line, say if you've had a meal replacement before you go, have you went through the line and or just maybe focus more on the fellowship side of it, but yet still had in the back of your mind, I wonder if these people are noticing that I didn't get a plate and get the cupcakes and participate. Have you ever done that?
I think they notice.
Yeah.
That if you didn't take something.
Yeah.
But I kind of wonder if I've noticed that maybe they have taken less compared to, like comparing what you're taking or what you're not. I've even noticed that at restaurants when people order, they'll say, well, you go ahead and you go first. And then I can tell they're ordering based on what, you know, like, oh, we're not going for the wings and the junk food, we're going for, and then they'll change what their order is without anybody saying anything. But I think I've just learned to just know what I'm going to order and not worry about, and that's different because I would have ordered all the wings and all the onion rings or the whatever that whole appetizer thing was. But I do think people are watching what you're putting on your plate, or maybe that's just in my head, but I have noticed that they would take less.
I noticed that at the baby shower that after I said no thank you to the cake, there were 2 other women that said, you know, no, I'm going to pass too, you know.
And I don't know if it was because of that or if it's just they really didn't, but I just felt like I would speak up and just say it where I wouldn't have before. I would just take it and eat it if I didn't want it.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to any kind of event like this where you you chose to, you know, basically choose healthy? Have you ever had anyone to approach you and said, hey, why are you not having a piece of cake? Or are you not having a piece of cake? Or have you ever had that happen?
I did this weekend.
You did?
Yeah, I was at an event. It wasn't for the food though, it was for the wine. And they're like, why aren't you drinking? And I mean, I was kind of honest. I said, well, I'm doing Medifast. So.
Okay. So that's good. And, you know, and it's like all this is a step process. You know, at first we're doing something that is, the majority of people are not doing. And so sometimes whenever you get approached just like that with the wine, it's sort of like you get sort of like, you know, dumbfounded in a sense that you go, oh no, how do I respond? You know, how do I respond to this? So that's something I wanted to move on into is taking ownership. How many of you that's been on the program for a while, that's already lost your weight, you're living the lifestyle, have taken ownership in a sense to where you just, you go off into it, and if someone comes up and approaches you with it, it's like you just have, you just know what to say.
Yeah. I don't know if I really know what to say. I know what I say. One time I was at a party and there wasn't anything there I could have, and it was either going to be that I go over the 3 hours, and I was hungry, wait till we left and have something, or I was going to rip out this bar that I was fiddling with in my pocket. And I just did, and it was just like everybody was like, you know, what is that? What are you doing? And I said, this will fill me up for 3 more hours, and I'm not eating, you know, that what you're eating, I just choose not to. And trying to get healthy, I lost this weight, I feel really good, I do not want to go back. So it kind of actually shut them up, which made it weird.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what to say after it was just over, but then it was kind of, now what?
Exactly. Well, like you said, it's a very awkward place to be because it's like, I don't know, do you find sometimes it's more like a defense that comes out where you're trying to defend what it is that you're doing?
Yeah.
And then it's like, what comes out, you're like, that sort of sounded like that I was like, you know, trying to tell them that, you know, like you said, if it comes out right or if it doesn't.
Yeah.
I had this discussion with a girl today. So what about you, Katie? I know you've been on the program, you've maintained and stuff. So have you been approached like that, and how have you responded?
Yeah, just recently at work we had, it was customer service week, so they had all these treats for us. And one was this girl came around with a platter of big sugar cookies. And she walks by my desk and says, and Katie, I take it you're not going to want one of these? I said, oh, no, thank you. She's like, oh, I don't know how you do it. And off she went.
Okay. So
I kind of feel like I separated myself, sort of, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, I guess.
Right. It's sort of like how she took care of that part for you. She just said, because she basically put like, here, you're here, I'm here, and I don't see how you can do it. And she probably looked at you had more willpower than her or something. Sometimes
we talked about the program before. She had asked me what we were doing, so she already kind of knew what path I was taking anyway. So this was just her. She already knew the answer, and I confirmed it. So
there you go. So there's two different scenarios. So I know Hannah's been approached. She's probably been able to, like, there again, taking ownership. So, Hannah, what about you? Whenever you've been approached, someone comes to you and says, "Oh, are you not going to have any of this or whatever?" How do you deal with that? Or it's an ownership kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I think I've been doing this for so long, people just know. It's kind of like they accept it and they don't really ask me anymore. So there is some hope. Once you've been on for a long time, people just don't ask you. They just don't come to you anymore. I do have, there's always those things too that you have that come up, such as, weddings and stuff like that. But I feel like once you get into maintenance and stuff, it's almost like you kind of know how to balance your life, and you know what's healthy for you and what's not. And people see that. They see you participating, which makes them feel, oh, well, she's really healthy and she's doing this. It's not like I'm over participating, but it's like, if I want to have a glass of wine, when I'm out, but I'm eating a healthy lean and green, then that's what I do. But I look at it as this. It's like we're in constant judgment of each other. Whenever we're on a program or doing something in our life, we are totally focused on ourselves. But once we have outer sources tell us things, that their opinion on things, we automatically feel like we're being judged for what we're doing. And it's a shame thing. Like we go to this like, oh, well, they don't agree with me. So, it's so sad to watch these people, like, they're so excited once they start the program, and then their family, the people that love them the most, can't support them. And that causes them to feel shameful for what they're doing. Whenever they know they've lost 20 pounds, whenever they know they've gotten off high blood pressure medication, whenever they know these things, that doesn't matter when they feel that shame. So my thing is like getting people to kind of recognize that there's always going to be judgment if you always see the divide in things, if you always see that you're doing something different than somebody else. But if you look at it as, hey, we're still family, we're coming together, and I'm just making different choices than you are, and that's okay. And accept that fact rather than feeling like you're being judged for what you're doing. Just go ahead and go, oh, they don't understand what I'm doing. So it's okay. It's okay that I passed on that cake because I didn't really want that cake. And if they ask me why I did, I'll share with them, I just didn't want it today. I've come this far. Or I've shared, share about your journey. So, I've already lost, 30 pounds. And I'm so excited about it. This is just, this is my new lifestyle. Be excited about what you're doing and don't worry about people judging you, because remember, there is no divide. People just don't know what you're doing yet. So, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like I said, once I've been in this for so long, people just quit asking me. But how I help my clients break through that is knowing, like Mom said, taking ownership in what you're doing and just really understanding, like, man, I can do this. Like, I've come so far with my results, with my goals, and I'm seeing myself progress. So whenever my parents or my grandmas make me feel bad because I'm not having a chocolate chess pie, why am I feeling bad? They don't understand where I'm at. They don't understand what I was suffering from. They don't understand all those things. So remember that's your story, you're not participating in it. So I hope that was helpful in that.
Very, very. I shared with a girl today. There again, we're talking about taking ownership, and it takes a little while to take ownership because you have to understand. There's the majority of people are not think that. How many people do you know every day is talking about, I need to lose weight, I need to get healthy, it's conversation. It's all people talk about while they're stuffing a donut in their mouth or eating a bag of chips. That's what they're talking about. And then they say, hey, and then you go, hey, where, you're leaving work early today. Where are you going? Oh, I have a doctor's appointment because I've not been feeling well. So the thing is whenever you become awakened to these things that's going on and you realize, what it is that you guys are part of the elite group. I hope you know. we're all getting up every day. We are following this structure, and we are trying to create whatever it is that you're trying to create, whether it's I want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, I've got 100 pounds to go, I want to get off medications, I want to tie my shoe, I want to be able to sit down in the floor and play with my kids, whatever that why is. But this was what I shared with a girl today. This is what will take all the pressure off of you. Now, how many of you on here have been introduced to Dr. Anderson? Okay, so we all know that this guy here he's the leader of this program. It's not your health coach. Your health coach was just someone that said, hey, I need some structure. So your health coach was the person that said, okay, they allowed a health coach to introduce them to Dr. Anderson. And Dr. Anderson is he's laid out a path for us. And we are, this group gathered here tonight, we are part of the Health Coach and Lifestyle Division, which is Take Shape for Life. We eat the MetaFast food because why? Can somebody tell me why we eat the MetaFast food?
For the weight loss phase of the
weight
program.
Loss. And what does this MetaFast food do for us?
Gives us the nutrients we need, vitamins.
Okay.
Fuel.
That's right. And is there a lot of planning that goes into it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So do you find that it's a stress reducer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do we live in a world today where people are bombarded with stress?
Yes.
So do you find that this actually has helped you to where you can not have to think about that? All you have to do is just fuel the body every 3 hours, and then all of a sudden you get on the scales and you go, oh my goodness, I've lost 10 pounds. In a period of time. This is amazing. Okay. So, but what happens if we do not change our behaviors?
We end up going back to gaining the weight back, not having read the book, learn the book, practice what we read.
Exactly. And do you find the community of people that are doing the same thing is an asset to your program?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Because the thing is, we can feel comfortable with each other. We can be transparent. And you know what? If we're struggling, it's okay to say, I'm struggling. How can I overcome this? Because, you know, sometimes it's okay to ask the questions, because you may have one person on here that's experienced it that can be able to share one thing that can help you to be able to overcome that. Where would you want to ask that question to the majority of the world that's not doing it?
No.
But why are we so influenced by those that are not doing it?
Judgment. Peer
Yeah.
pressure.
Approval. Maybe we need them to tell us or to get on our team or whatever. So all I can share with you is this is your community. This is your safe place. This is your home. This is where you can feel like it's okay to come to. And then the thing is once you get off of here, and you have to ask yourself, did that help me? Was that something that made me feel like tomorrow I can go into and tomorrow will be easier? And if the answer is yes, I had a better day tomorrow than I did today. So there again, understand that this community is something that most people do not know that even exists. So it's up to us to share with them, you know, I didn't know what to do. I had 40 pounds to lose and I didn't feel good. My self-esteem was this. I didn't have confidence. And so someone introduced me to Dr. Anderson, The Habits of Health. And yes, I'm eating this MetaFast food, but I'm learning about the things in my life, just like, for instance, like, you know, what we've talked about tonight, being able to gather with your family, but not feel guilt, not feel shame if you don't eat a piece of pie. If you want to stay on plan and you don't want to gain that weight back, or like say, you know, I asked everyone going into the holidays, what do you want to create? Do you want to stay in weight loss? Do you want to maintain? Or do you want to put on 15 pounds? I mean, it's your choice, right?
Yeah.
But it's your choice. Okay, so if you go into it with a plan, I guarantee you 100% of the time you will achieve that. But if you go into it with, I don't really know, I mean, I'm eating this MetaFast food and I'm trying to lose this weight and I'm not doing some of the things that I'm doing, but I'm scared because it's the holidays, and you go into that, guess what's going to happen? The world that doesn't know what you're doing is going to suck you right into it. And then guess what? Then you start having the mental garbage that says, you can't do this. Nah, this ain't going to work for you. So that's why it's very important to stay connected and own what it is you're doing. If you need to carry this book with you around for the holidays and say, hey, guess what? I'm following this doctor that's changing healthcare in America. Have you heard about him? And people's like, no. Because most people don't know who Dr. Anderson is. But guess what we're doing? We're changing healthcare in America. And we are doing it through Take Shape for Life. People that are just raising their hand and says, show me what to do. I don't know what to do. Yes, I love fried chicken. I love mashed potatoes. I love sweet tea. And I love pecan pie. But I want to live. You know, one thing I can say that Brian, I'll never forget, I'll always hold him accountable to this. He said, I want to live. And he said, I want to live because he wanted to be able to have a life with his beautiful wife so that way they can have, you know, and do the things that they want to do in life. So see, that's their why. That's their engine. That's what keeps them going. And I can tell each week whenever we get on the screen, can't you all tell how they're shrinking? How they're getting closer together? See, isn't that amazing? Used to, we couldn't even see Brian. I mean, we couldn't. And then these two just got back. There's some of you weren't on here. They just got back from a cruise, and they were on a 5 days on a what was it? Danny said a moving cat. What was it he said? A cattle trough or something. So you think about being 5 days where food is just all around you. And they have people going, here, don't you want some of this? So Brian and Amy told us last week, Thanksgiving and Christmas will not be anything. It won't be nothing. So own what you're doing. Stay connected to those people who really want you to achieve that. And then something Hannah and I talked today, there's 52 days left before January the 1st.
Wow.
52 days. So what do we want our 2016 to look like? Can you see how much different your life is going to be then than it is right now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see yourself for whatever reason, if it's looking a certain way or being able to get in the floor to play with your child or be able to sleep better at night or be able to get off medications? Can you see that being a reality?
Yeah.
So how many people will you come in contact with that's going to wait till January the 1st to go, I'm signing up at the gym. I've got to get on a diet. I've got to do something. So how many of you will be so far ahead in the game to where as you're hearing them say these things, can be able to look at them and say the greatest question you can ask someone is why? Why do you want that? Just like we did with Brian and Amy, I want to live. Just like, you know, I know, Heather, what was your why?
My why was because I wanted to have more energy to play with my daughter, especially during the day. I kept falling asleep and I just didn't, I got angry very quickly. I was tired all the time and I felt like I was in this huge haze and I wasn't even a person anymore. And then I started losing weight and gaining more energy and I was like, oh, I remember this person before I had a kid. What happened to that person? Why did I let this happen to begin with? But now it's back and now it's great. So I'm hoping to start my next year off with some more personal goals of like going back to work and doing stuff for myself, but also being able to do more for my daughter.
That's awesome. So that's a great why, and that's the engine. That's always something you go back to. So what about you, Alyssa? What was your I mean, you look like, how much weight are you trying to lose? Like, how much weight? She doesn't look like she needs to lose much, but you're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I want to lose about 10 to 15 pounds.
Okay. And what was your why?
I honestly didn't feel like I had any control over my eating habits, and slightly concerning. I would wake up in the middle of the night and literally have no control, and that feeling was very stressful and overwhelming. And so, I don't want my diet to be so controlling over my thoughts and my life.
That's great. That's great. And what age are you, Alyssa?
Excuse me?
What age are you?
28.
28. So you and Hannah are the same age. Yeah. And it's, the mind rules the body. So that's great at 28 years old to be able to understand that and really wrap your head around that at that age and have control of that, because it's something we always have to deal with. And it's harder the older you get. Don't everybody agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and as I was looking at Joe up here tonight, can all of you tell that Joe is like shrinking? I was asking her if her hair was getting longer, and she goes, well, I think it's because I'm getting thinner.
I didn't know who it was. I had no idea who it was.
I know.
And I was like, who's that young girl in the corner?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Joe.
Yeah. So Joe is, Joe, tell us a little bit about so far what you've been able to create and how everything's changing in your world.
Well, I've just had a tremendous amount of stress in my life over the last 3 or 4 months, and I think that it's been like that foundation that I needed to kind of hang on to get me through. Just constant changes and kind of feeling like I'm caught up in the whirlwind. You talked earlier about comments that other people make, and I kind of catch myself off guard every now and then. Somebody said something the other day here about they were having donuts, and you don't want a donut, you're on that diet. And I right away felt really defensive, like I needed to somehow justify what I was doing or speak up for myself, you know what I mean? And then I had to kind of take a deep breath and step back and say, you know what, it really doesn't matter. It just it just makes me realize that they don't know what they're talking about. They don't, but there almost seemed to be a bit of sarcasm when they said it, you know what I'm saying? And I just thought, I got to just let that kind of stuff roll off my back. And I'm really looking forward to getting to the point where it comes more naturally, and it is kind of nice that people don't bring things to you and offer them,
yes,
so much anymore.
Yes. And like you said, with that little sarcasm, you can't have one of these, sort of like Katie, you can't have one of these, or sorry, wish you could. It's like they feel sorry for you, kind of thing. But
do you think do you think it's a way for that they're like not happy that they're having it, but they're gonna turn it on you and
yes,
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're almost a little envious that you're saying no, and I think they kind of look at that as, geez, I wish I could, I wish I had that kind of staying power, to be that dedicated to a program that I could say, I'm going to pass, I don't want it today.
Yes, exactly. And, that's one thing I've heard Dr. Anderson say, and it was sort of like really? He said willpower has nothing to do with this. See, I always thought that if anybody put me in a contest with someone else that had, willpower, I would win, because that's just who I was. But then, this has nothing to do with willpower, because even willpower, you get tired, right?
Yeah.
You get exhausted, and it's a start-finish place. But this is more about the creative process. This is more about, there's two sides of our brain. One is the creative side, where most of us, whenever we are in creative mode, we are happiest. And then whenever we cannot be in the creative mode, we get into the other side of the brain, which is the rules and regulations, the no you can'ts, the manipulation kind of side, there, which causes people to feel like they need to attack kind of thing. So, what happens with this program is as you first, you're right now in this creative process, you're creating a new being, a new person. And then once you get into, you really are able to create that person. It doesn't mean that I'm there and it's over with. You're always will be discovering new things. Just like, I heard Heather say there's some individual goals she wants to work on, and that's what this is all. If there's always something, once you arrive with the physical transformation, there's going to be other areas you want to work on. And because it motivates you to do that, and then that opens doors in other areas to where you think, "Wow, I cannot believe how far I've come." And it's basically because you've been able to achieve something, become empowered through the process, and then there again, you say, "Okay, what else can I create with this?" So as long as you stay in the creative process with it, you will always be alive, feeling good, happy. You're going to have all the joy that you're looking for. Will you ever avoid any roadblocks or stresses or anything? No, they will always be knocking at the door, but it's learning how to manage them by staying in the creative process.
I think that creative process gives you that enthusiasm to kind of get through some of those rough spots.
I agree.
And that's something that I didn't expect that I've really noticed.
Yes.
I'm getting up in the morning, I wake up before my alarm clock, and I am actually looking forward to getting up and dressing, and just, I feel like I have more options now. That enthusiasm just shines a nice bright light on my day. Yes,
I agree. So as we get ready, and we are, going to approach 2016 before long, like I said, it's know that you can go through the holidays, have a great time with your family, plan ahead, stay connected to your health coach if you need some ideas, and they will help. But there again, this community it's a lifeline to you, and it's something that we all need. Even though, like, I think Hannah and I is probably two of the oldest ones here, 10 years, 8 years into the program, but we're still in the process, in that learning process all the time. And so as long as you're willing to work on yourself, things will come into you, and you can be able to put it in application to change whatever it is in your life that you want to change for it to be better. So really set those goals high for 2016, and just know that anything's possible. So with that, is there anything in closing we need to touch on? Has this been helpful to where you can, just sort of take this information and go into the holidays feeling safe?
Mm-hmm. Very helpful.
Yeah. So, but I really want to thank everyone for being on tonight, because it's always fun to gather with all of you, because like I said, it helps me, with my goals and stuff, and just seeing all of you that are waking up every day that's taking ownership of yourself, and then dealing with the stuff outside ourselves. That's the greatest challenge. But if we can overcome those challenges, then this is nothing. Other things will be even easier. So is there anything that anyone wants to share in closing?
I want to thank Hannah, actually, for being like my lifesaver, because it's nice to have a fellow mom to talk to about these problems, because before it felt like I was going insane and everyone else was normal and that something was wrong with me. But talking to Hannah, it was nice because I had someone who's been there, who knows what I'm going through, and that it's okay, and that you can get out of that tunnel and things will get better, and that you're not crazy. It's just you're in a rough spot and you need occasionally someone to be there to help. And it's really just nice to talk to a fellow mom, because moving from Tennessee to Virginia, I really don't have that here yet. So it's definitely been a lifesaver.
There you go. That's important, is the connections in it. It really is the connections. And what you have in common, what you have in common.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Hannah, she may want to comment a little bit on that too.
Yeah, it's definitely been an honor. I love being able to moms are definitely my specialty. I love working with women. It's one of those, no offense, Brian, but it's just one of those things that I do. We are the biggest multitaskers and we are the biggest givers of our lives, and that we really neglect ourselves. And it's one of those things where I love being able to take, young moms like you to be able to show you a path to where you can have some part of your healing, working towards like an area in your life to get that fixed to where you can actually have that time to be able to focus on the areas that matter most to you. Because, weight is a huge issue, but being able to, enjoy getting to play with your daughter is huge. 11 pounds is great, but nothing compares to that, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
And Brian and Amy, Hannah would snatch y'all away from me as quickly as she could if I let her.
I want to tell you something about people going around with candy and stuff. I don't know if you have noticed, but around here, these little kids are selling these little candy bars for $1. You seen them?
Yeah.
Well, some woman at work set them on my desk where I could sell them to the drivers if they come through. Big old box of chocolate candy bars. Just at about less than a foot away from my face.
Wow.
This driver came up here today and he said, "How in the world can you sit across from those candy bars been on a diet?" I'm like, those candy bars don't bother me. Now, if they were fried potatoes, I have a problem.
Yeah.
Candy bars are no big deal.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Brian, that stuff right there, it never goes away. Me and Mom was at the mall yesterday, and they had this aroma. The mall aroma is what I call it. And I looked at her, I was like, "God, that smells good." She goes, "It's time for you to fuel in it." And I said,
Yeah.
So luckily, Ocean had a dirty diaper, so we worked out the car, changed diaper, got a meal replacement, and the smell didn't even affect us, did it, Hannah? Whenever we went back in, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honey, if you're hungry,
you're like, "Dang, where's that coming from?"
yeah. You're like, and you can taste it, saliva glands.
First, you want to know what it is. I think that's the thing. Like, what is that?
What is that?
Let me look at it.
Yeah, let me look at it. If you look at it, it's even more challenging then. Isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, I really do appreciate all of you because, like I said, every one of you are getting up and you're making it work, and I really appreciate your time being on here tonight because everyone's what they share, it helps us all. And so I just like I said, reach out through the week. We don't have to wait till Tuesdays. We got the Support for Life group, so reach out to any of us, friend. Whoever's on here that you're not friends with, connect. That's what this is all about. It's all about the relationships and connections. So with that, if there's nothing else for us to share, hope everyone has a great night's rest. And that is a habit of health. And then coaches will touch base on Thursday, and we'll go from there. But thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good night.